It's good to have you here. It's September 1st. If you're watching the show any other day, it's a replay of 2011, let me put it that way. Hey, we got some very interesting stuff that you will only see on this show. The press is not covering this issue. One, we're going to look at the Maplewood recount, and I just want you to watch how this process took place because it was, well, the process was fine for the recount, but just how the ballots were handled at various precincts and how they were sealed, it's just interesting, okay? It just raises questions as to what's going on and why it's happening. So we've got about a 5-minute video on that. And then Ramsey County Charter Commission met yesterday regarding the Viking Stadium, and it was a fiasco at the beginning, and a lot of mistakes were made. But we're going to show you information that isn't being covered in the press in the games that went on to make sure there was not a vote yesterday on the whether the Ramsey County wanted to put an amendment on the ballot as to whether we are going to be taxed a half-cent sales tax for Ramsey County only, and whether the people of Ramsey County will say whether they want to be taxed or not for the Viking Stadium. Of course, nothing's passed in the legislature yet, but you know, that's the plan. That's the goal right now. That's the direction everything is that's the way everything is heading right now. So we got a lot of film on that. A lot of issues are raised there. I just think some of this discussion will be very interesting, and I want your input as to where you stand on this, and just understanding the process. It's not easy. It's a little complicated. But, you know, we got our Minnesota Constitution here, and there's legislation, and there's all kinds of articles going out. But we're going to have a discussion. So I think you'll find it very interesting. There's problems with this Charter Commission. So we'll see some of that. But last week, or 2 weeks ago, I said on my next show, we'll talk about the chicken and the egg, which came first. And then I wasn't here last week. I hope you enjoyed last week's show about health care and what's going on in Minnesota and nationally. And there was an interview with Twyla Braze from Citizens Council for Health Freedom, and just very sharp on that issue. And she's out there defending your liberties. So I hope you enjoyed that. Well, okay, so what do you think? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And of course, this has always been a big issue, and science has weighed in on the question and with various theories and postulations. And historically, and what I mean by historically, there is a written record someplace that says what came first. And of course, if you go with the biblical historical record, you would say the chicken came first, because I believe it was on the sixth day God created, it is the fifth or sixth day God created animals, okay? And that's the day they would have been created. But, okay, someone's going to say, hey, Tim, you're crazy here to talk about this stuff, and we're just shutting you down here. But understand, science cannot overrule history, all right? Understand this. Science cannot overrule history. And what I'm talking about is, let's take for example Mount St. Helens. Okay, we know when Mount St. Helens erupted. We know when that lake burst forth and created a canyon in days, or well, in hours. We have the exact date that happened. Okay. But if you go out and do testing, radiometric testing, all the radiometric testings that are out there, I know there's at least 16, there may be more, but you do all that testing, and it will say that those canyons and those things that were created in the newly laid rock and newly laid lava had been there for, you know, hundreds of millions of years. Okay, so do we go by the science, or so quote-unquote science, or do we go by the history? So history trumps science when you have a written record of when something happened and you have eyewitnesses to it. So, but science comes along and sometimes can confirm history and should confirm history. So here's the official result is the bottom line. The egg can only exist if it has been created inside a chicken. And the reason is that the egg needs a certain protein. Let me find the right wording here. There's a protein created in the chicken's ovaries, and it is not only necessary but absolutely imperative for the formation of the egg. Okay? That protein exists only in the chicken's ovaries. Doesn't exist anywhere else. The egg doesn't have it. But the egg can't exist without this protein. Chicken has to come first. Okay? You know, think about that, follow that up, you know, do some research. But we're finding out with all the scientific research on proteins and how things works and bacteria tails and stuff like that. A bacterial tail is really the design of an outboard engine. Same design, but what came first? The bacteria tail or an outboard engine? Bacteria tail did. Okay, and it's unbelievable the power and what it can do, and what we men have designed. We haven't even come close to designing what already is there in nature. So anyway, I'm glad that question's resolved for you, that the chicken came first. Now you can go on to other important issues, like the Maplewood recount. Now, when we play this video, and let me know if it's ready, keep the sound on, but also keep my mic on, because I'm going to talk over this as we're going. Because, you know, it's not really exciting to watch people opening envelopes and stuff. So let's hit the video here. This is a special recount because in the Maplewood City Council race there was about, there was less than a 5% difference. If I have the audio up on this, there we go. Now, this is Precinct 1, and I have graphics on this, so you may have to get rid of the other graphic that's on the screen right now. Look how hard it is to open that envelope. That's Precinct 1's. Get rid of my speechless graphic. All right, they're opening Precinct 1 there. Okay, and they're opening Precinct 2. It's just having a bear of a time opening up these envelopes. Now, each precinct had 2 envelopes, one from the general ballot and one from the absentee ballots. And there's the absentee ballot. See how hard it is, Precinct 1? You know, it was kind of a little humorous there, but that's good. They're good. They're sealed, good and tight. Again, Precinct 2, pretty tough. So now up there in the left-hand corner is Precinct 3. That was a tough battle opening those. There's Precinct 4. It's tough. That's basically, I'm going to show you how tough these are. But also notice there's only 2 envelopes per precinct. Again, one for at the precinct and then one for absentee ballots. And there's the absentee ballot for Precinct 4. Tough to open. Now the absentee ballots are done. Now look up the top 5. They're opening both at the same time up there. Just really, it's a chore. Absentee ballots are done down at the Maplewood City Center, City Council Center. Here's number 6. It's tough again. Precinct 6, absentee ballot. Now get ready for Precinct 7. Okay, we see there's two envelopes for each precinct. You just got to work at it. Now look at the top left corner. They're going to pass out the three envelopes for Precinct 7. Now how's that figure in there? 3 envelopes. Oh, well, look at that. Throw your hands up in the air and boy, they just open right up. Oh, folks, they weren't sealed. You can just flip them over. 3 envelopes, not 2. None of the envelopes sealed. Not even the absentee ballot that was prepared in a different location. That's a little weird. Now here's 8. That opened right up too. Now you can tell also they never took off the sticky, the seal that allows the adhesive to stick together. And then there's precinct 8. That went too fast for me. I think that was another easy one to open, precinct 8, not the absentee one. Or maybe it was. That went too fast for me. Precinct 9 ballots and absentee ballots, hard to open. Okay, I know this is exciting TV. I probably could have, precinct 10 here, getting ready for that. There's a chore, opening that up. All right. Absentee ballots were not sealed on precinct 10. Of course, that's that's done at a different location. Precinct 11, got to rip into them. Precinct 11 absentee ballots. There, it's hard to open. Okay. So they were sealed. Absentee ballots weren't sealed. That's for 12. Hard to open at the precinct level. Okay. And there, look, absentee ballots 13 were not sealed. The precinct at 13 were sealed. So precinct 14 ballots, they were sealed. Absentee ballots were sealed for precinct 14. And we're almost done here. Only 2 more precincts to go. 15 absentee ballots and precinct sealed. Sealed good and tight. Now if you remember, there's precinct 16, that's sealed. But we'll notice there's an undercount card, that's the pink card. Precinct 16, the absentee ballots were not sealed. You can see the stripe across the top there. It should have been taken off. And it just shouldn't happen. These things need to be sealed. They weren't sealed. But it's just, why does Precinct 7 have 3 envelopes? There's no need for that. Now, Precinct 7 is the precinct where we had a problem in the Coleman race, where an extra 177, 172 ballots showed up. And that precinct needs to be watched. And also, why wasn't Precinct 7, none of them were sealed, neither the precinct nor the absentee ballots. Now, Precinct 8 wasn't sealed, but the absentee ballot was. So, something's going on here. There should be uniformity in these. I liked how they were sealed tight, but some of these, I'm told, and we're going to get ready for this, is that some of these, we've got to find out more information, but they didn't even put where you have to, the election judges have to sign, and they place that, oops, get me back up on the screen there. Okay, some of these people have to, the seal has to go across where the flap goes down, so the flap and the envelope are covered in the same place. Some of those, it didn't happen that way. So we got pictures of them. I have to yet delve into those and see what's going on there. So it's a problem. It's not a, it's something should be dealt with. So, and these absentee ballots need to be watched. No notice that I can tell was given that when the absentee ballot board was meeting, and so nobody was watching the people counting or collecting the absentee ballots and how they were handled, because you didn't have notice of them. We don't know if there's political party parity in these precincts or at the absentee ballot board. So some more information we're going to find out and report back to you, but I thought you'd like to see something's wrong here, and it doesn't look right. That's all we can say right now. It doesn't look right. Okay, we're going to go to our next video. Let me know when that's ready. Okay, we're going into the Ramsey County Charter Commission here, and there was kind of to lay the groundwork here is according to the Constitution. Let's read this. Let me lay it out. The Minnesota Constitution allows the legislature to pass taxes for specific counties or groups of counties or for specific cities. The legislature can do that, but if they do that, that legislative body, the citizens of that legislative body have the right to have a referendum in order to disapprove of what the legislature has done, and they can cancel out the vote. Okay? But the legislature can also write a law that doesn't allow that to happen. Okay? And so when the Twins were asking money from the government and from every citizen in Minnesota to pay for their private stadium, okay, that's what happened. And Hennepin County had to pay a special, citizens of Hennepin County had to pay a special tax. The citizens of Hennepin County did not get an opportunity to vote that down. So you got everybody from outstate telling everybody in Hennepin County, hey, you got to pay for this stadium. Okay, so, which nobody in the state should be taxed on any of these stadiums. But if you have a home rule charter, county or city, like Ramsey County is, you can actually go against the law, that the special tax that is put on your area or on your county. Since Ramsey County is a home rule county, the citizens of Ramsey County can go and say, hey, no, we don't want this tax. But in order to do that, after the ordinance is passed, you got 45 days to get signatures, 5% in the past election, which would be about general election, which would be about 30,000 ballots, 30,000 signatures of the people of Ramsey County to say, we want this on the ballot as to whether we want to vote for this tax or not. Okay, that's one way. The other way is for the Home Rule Charter to pass an amendment that says we don't want to pay for any stadium and we're telling you in advance, and we will not. That Home Rule Charter supersedes any statute that is passed by the legislature. Okay, that's what's going on here. Okay, so the Ramsey County Charter Commission is trying to meet to pass an amendment, or not pass an amendment, but it's up for discussion with the Ramsey County Charter Commission. Now, last August 15, I went down to film the Charter Commission because they were going to discuss this, and there was a public hearing that people can make public comments on this, and people did, and we played that on our August 16th show, I think it was. And there was a motion made, and I'm going to show you this clip, and what I want you to watch on this clip, this was from August 15th, it said there was a motion made, and it was specific but general. There was also an issue raised in here that I want you to watch for, is the whether this would be televised. One council member, Brian Olson, tried to get it televised so people from around the county can watch it, and there's only one location that can happen in. And then the question was raised of conflict of interest. That was in there. Whether any of the members had a conflict of interest, which I think some may. Okay? And then we'll look at the number of votes that we're calling for the next meeting. So let's watch this video and watch those things, and we got some more comments to make.
I'd like to make a motion. I think we've heard very, very good discussion and certainly concerns, but I think I'd like to see what the prevailing decision of the commissioners would be. So I would move that we have a special meeting with the commission 2 weeks from today on the 29th at a location to be...
I'm on vacation till the 30th. Wednesday.
Let me change the date then.
And I need 3 days.
While you're sorting that out, Andy, did you have a quick?
Yes, I have one question. I appreciate everything the member said. If something does get submitted to the county attorney and they do deem that the words general election is a prohibitor or a game stopper, my thought, and it would be just as effective, if this body says we're going to vote on a charter amendment to go on the 2012 ballot, and I think there's a time period of when that can be turned in. I think it's probably sometime in March. But if that was voted on ahead of time, even if it couldn't go on the 2011 ballot, you just solved the same, you served the same purpose, because it would be exactly the same message that it would send to the people that are trying to undermine the rights of the charter. Thank you.
My assumption would be we have a lot more time than September 12th to make that decision.
Right. Well, I just think the sooner it's sent now, because they're working on doing
Mr. Halverson.
I know it's a long shot again, but I would move that we have a special session special meeting. Thank you. I'm sorry. On Wednesday, August 31st of this month, and that the only agenda item would be for a possible consideration of the charter amendment to prohibit the use of Ramsey County sales tax for a professional sports stadium.
Motion has been made. Is there a
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Mr. Halverson, Mr. Hudson.
Mr. Chair.
Discussion?
The only problem I have with the motion is that it says charter amendment, and we may find out the charter referendum is the appropriate method. I think if we just keep it to the general discussion, we may find out from council that there's other means of accomplishing whatever the desire is. So I would amend it. I would move to amend your motion, or ask you to amend your own, so that it just refers to the general topic as opposed to charter amendment.
That would be acceptable to me. I'll take that as a friendly amendment. It's okay with the
That's
second.
fine.
Right. So the motion on the floor is a special meeting on August 31st at a time and place to be arranged for consideration of...
It's Wednesday.
Bonnie, did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
Piece of discussion, I would like to recommend that we have that meeting at the courthouse and that it be televised.
If it's available.
Well, that's...
It wouldn't be, would it?
It won't be live.
Won't be live. Well, still, you made the recommendation, and
We'll take that under advisement. We'll pass that information to the chair for this consideration. Mr. Hendricks.
Mr. Chair, so there's no perception of any perceived conflict of interest. I would like any members of this body to identify themselves if they are members of the Minnesota Voters Alliance, and if so, in what capacity.
So the commission members?
Yes.
I am not.
I think that's a bit
Directly.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair. Come on. Hey, if you got a conflict, you have an ethical duty to the social conflict. I don't think we should pick our organization. Anybody here a member of the ACLU? Well, let's not do this. Let's not do this.
Moving right along. If you have a conflict, I would assume that you would do the right thing and let staff or the chair know.
Mr. Chair, if we're talking about conflicts, let's make sure we talk about both sides. It only makes sense, and you're right. If there's a conflict on either side of this issue that one of us has, that should be duly noted and appropriately abstain from any voting.
financial Vikings.
Whatever the pieces, I mean, the fact that I own the Vikings doesn't necessarily mean that I have a conflict with what we're talking about. The point if we're talking about conflict of interest in anything else, we really should be identifying our conflict of interest with the discussion of whatever it is we're discussing.
That's understood. Let's move to the motion to have a special meeting.
Could we record roll call?
Roll call has been requested. Further discussion? All in favor, Mr. Miller.
What do you need? How many people do you need at the meeting on the 31st to make it happen?
If the result were a move to amend the charter, I believe we need 9 votes affirmative.
And that would, so just, you'd need, no matter how many, if you had 17 people, you need 9 votes. If you had,
If you had 10 people, you still need, if you had 9 people, you need 9 people. All right, all in favor of the motion to schedule a special meeting for the purpose intended, signify by saying aye. Motion is approved. We'll have a special meeting.
Just out of sense of ignorance here, does that mean then that as we would work this wording tonight, that we would need to have it exactly worded right so that we wouldn't be in violation of a special meeting agenda that wouldn't
Okay, little mix up there. Was my time off on that, or my timing? No? Okay. All right. The motion was this. A possible consideration of a charter amendment to prohibit the use of Ramsey County sales tax for a professional sports stadium. Okay? And then if you heard the chair, Mr. Where did he go? Menke, when he was reading the amendment, a special meeting on August 31st at a time or place to be arranged for consideration of a vote. That's what they voted on, for consideration of a vote. Okay? So you just got to pick that up. That was the August 18th meeting of the Ramsey County Charter Commission. And just some other insights from what was going on there. Well, did you notice Brian Olson there trying to say, I want to get this at a venue that it can be televised or at least recorded, some way halfway decent, so that it can be televised at a later time so people can see what's taking place and, you know, have some knowledge of participation in the discussion, you know. And my information coming out is that a lot of the board members don't want this televised. They don't want their comments or what's being said seen out there. But these are public people making public decisions, okay? And this should be televised. This is about transparency. But we're going to see our later videos, this issue come up again, and having it being televised is not a big deal. This is the only place where you're going to see this. Right here on this show, any tape, and I got the whole two August 18th and the last meeting recorded. So then the conflict of interest came in, okay, and that's important. Now, this may or may not be a conflict of interest, but Bev Aplikowski there has property, some mobile homes that are just south of the proposed site. Mobile home park that she owns, that I understand that she owns, just south of the proposed stadium site, less than a mile. She's just north of Highway 96, and then it goes, of course, further north so that it's a lot closer to the property. And if you have this Viking development take place there, there's a pretty good chance that the property values around that area will go up in value. Hard to say, but is that a conflict of interest? You know, I'm going to let you decide. I'm just giving you the information on that one. It's borderline for me. So then also, I haven't been real impressed with Phil Carruthers, and there may be a conflict there because now you have the Ramsey County Commission and commissioners. They meet, and Phil Carruthers is the attorney for the commission, and he's the county attorney for Ramsey County, and he's also the attorney for the Ramsey County Charter Commission. Now, both these commissions are. Both the Ramsey County Commission and the Charter Commission, now they're at opposite ends on this, or maybe at opposite ends, and you got one attorney that's got to represent them both and give direction to both of them. That's a conflict. He needs to go from one or the other, and somebody brought in. And this is important because when we come with the problem of this meeting that's coming up, it's that we'll get to, you'll see it rise up again. But either way, I was not impressed with his knowledge of the Charter Commission or the procedure or anything else going on there. Also, coming up to the next meeting, there were no minutes of the last meeting, okay? And that's critical, because without those minutes, they don't have what they've approved on a motion. And so when it came to the meeting yesterday, on the agenda, and I got the agenda here, it said old business, discussion of the general topic of prohibiting use of county sales tax revenues for professional sports facilities. Well, the motion was actually possible consideration of a charter amendment to prohibit the use of Ramsey County sales tax for a professional sports station. So that's close. But then the chair added in on that motion to be arranged for consideration of a vote. Okay, that was not put on the agenda, the consideration of a vote to have an amendment put on the ballot. And so there was a big brouhaha, and Phil Carruthers, who my understanding is against this charter amendment. He wants the Viking Stadium and the taxpayers to pay for it. He, he gave a legal advice that's saying because we did not say there was going to be a vote on the agenda, people don't know that there was going to be a vote, yet all the press. But it is a big issue. But the problem comes up here is that I was told that on February 2010, there was a public hearing to discuss, to put a charter amendment, change the charter amendment, and it did come up, and they did do a vote, but there was nothing on the agenda that said there would be a vote to place a charter amendment on the ballot. So the commission has done this before, the Charter Commission has done this before, and in all actuality they can, because there's no rules or restriction on this for them. And but I personally feel you should have public comment, and that should take place before an amendment to the ballot is put on the ballot. So, or amendment to the commission, Charter Commission is put on the ballot. So, but they have a history, so now they changed it. So, I mean, the big question is, what's the right way to do it? Do it the right way. So now what we're gonna watch now is we're gonna watch the video of. And so another question that came up was, who writes this agenda? Who wrote it? And we're going to see in the, well, I don't know that I covered that in the video, but on the show, at the commission meeting, the chair did not write the agenda. And my understanding, that's their responsibility. Nor did Phil Carruthers. He said he didn't write it. Nor did the secretary say that she produced the agenda. We don't know who wrote the agenda. But somebody obviously sabotaged it, in my mind, in order so that there wouldn't be a vote. Okay, so let's go to the next video and see what they have to say. This is the actual meeting yesterday, and they're actually discussing on this one, I believe, what's going to go on the, well, let's see what they say.
Out of sense of ignorance here, does that mean then that as we would work this wording tonight, that we would need to have it exactly worded right so that we wouldn't be in violation of a special meeting agenda that wouldn't put us at an impasse like what's happened before? Is you're going to call for a special meeting? I would think that if we call for that vote, we hold the 2 public hearings. You've got November. We've got a regular meeting where amendments to the charter are in order and provided for within the charter, and the action that would happen, that would be a proposal to bring an amendment before the people, will happen in November 2012. So if it's going to happen in 2012, that we're able to get this in front of the people so that they can have their vote on it, and have their say, do we need to do that in October of 2011 and have them wait for 13 months, wondering why, when they show up at the polls in between, they're not voting on this, when there's real no urgency to do anything, because we're not doing it, can't do anything till 2012 anyway. So what we want to do is we want to have people have this chance to speak loud and proud on whatever side they're on this issue, and then we can take it up as a normal course of business in the normal way, so that we're not under any legal challenges or anything else like that, and then we put it in front of the voters in 2012, just like we would do if we rushed it through. That would be my only comment on it.
Peter, I think you were next. No? Rod?
Commissioner Gustafson, I support this motion so that we can just be more efficient. The motion was for 2 hearings, and I wanted to have only 1 hearing. But I'm going to vote for this motion because I think hearings are a good idea, and so I'm comfortable with having 2 hearings. To be efficient, I think we could follow up one of those meetings with a meeting of the commission to vote on a proposal. We've done it before, and I think it's all right to do again. And I would strongly point out to you, Commissioner, that I believe there is a timing issue here. You're right, we can only pass a charter amendment that will go on the next general election ballot in 2012. But I strongly believe we have to act before the legislature is called into special session.
Absolutely.
If we don't,
So then to clarify then, the issue isn't whether or not the people have a right to be heard, or the people have a right to vote, or that we have the right to support our charter. Our right is to send a message to the people, 2 blocks away at the Capitol. Is that our purpose then? Is that your purpose?
absolutely not.
Well,
We're here.
okay, if that isn't the purpose,
I want to adopt
why then do we need to make such a statement in order to do that, when in fact we can't do anything till 2012 anyway? That's just, sorry. I'm new, and I just don't understand the support of, that I thought we were here to support this charter. That's why I joined this commission.
Rod?
I want to say that's exactly what I want to do too.
Yeah.
I want to protect this charter where it says the people, if they disagree, can sign petitions and propose those petitions and propose a referendum, and that they get to vote on it.
Yes.
But I believe, and I think there's lots of evidence to prove it, no strict, no one has said that this is written in law, but there's lots of evidence that the legislature will pass a law that says this doesn't even have to be adopted by ordinance, and it won't be voted on by the Ramsey County people. That's what they're going to do. And so I believe this is good public policy for Ramsey County for the next 30 years. That's why I want to propose it now, and I want to make sure that the people know they will have a chance to vote on it in the future. And so it's not to send a message at all. It's because I believe we should not be using the taxpayers' dollars to give, at the cost of $670 million, to give $350 million to help build the Viking Stadium. And we need to do that before they take action in the legislature in a special session, because I believe they will restrict all of our abilities to vote. And so I have the same belief as you. And I believe we will lose that right if we wait until next year to ask.
You're just anti-Vikings.
Okay.
That's not against the Vikings.
Hang on.
You're from Iowa. They have no professional team down
I'm
there.
from Minnesota, and I've been a fan for 50 years.
Rod, please don't engage.
Good.
Rod, please don't engage.
I I'm not sure where I stand on Commissioner Brown's amendment. My concern is, we got here we came to this meeting today with the idea that we were going to discuss and come up with an idea of how we're going to proceed, which included, in my mind, a right to vote. That was precluded because the way the agenda was set up. I want to make sure that we are in a position that after 2 hearings, we can hold a special meeting, make decisions at that special meeting, including amendments to the proposals, or making the proposal, and then possibly voting on that as language that we would request be placed on the November 6, 2012 ballot. I do not want that amendment to mean that we have to vote. I don't want that amendment to mean that we are precluded from discussing what we heard at the hearings. And I want to make sure that that is the intent of that amendment. If that's the intent of the amendment, and we understand that to be the intent of the amendment, I'll vote in favor. If it's not the intent of the amendment, there's no reason to have it, and go back to the regular meeting.
That is exactly the intent. All I want to do is preserve the right to vote after having 2 hearings, or should I say how many hearings we've had. People can vote however they want to, one way or the other.
But you are specifically intending, after the second meeting, to have a vote?
What I'm intending is that the public not be surprised if we do vote, so that we don't end up in the same position we're in tonight. I don't think it's not, I have a right to vote. That's all I want to say is, after the second meeting.
All right. This, you got to understand this. By Constitution, you have the right to vote when there's a special tax on your city or county that the rest of the state places on you alone, or a select group of counties or cities. But the legislature can cancel that out by changing the law. Okay? And the only way that law can be overruled is if you're a home rule charter and you as a home rule charter overrule that. Okay? And say, and so that's what they're trying to do here, is adopt an amendment to the Ramsey County Charter, Home Rule Charter, so that the citizens can say, we don't want to pay the tax, or we do want to pay the tax. Okay, and that's what's going on here. Okay, so we got a phone call. Caller, comment or question?
Good evening. Good informative show. The couple comments. First, I agree with that was Rod Halverson.
Yes.
On the Charter Commission, and he's so right on the issue that let's have it before the voters. The paper that would have been Tuesday's paper quoted the governor as saying that he thought it was right to have it before the people. And that the issue of the county attorney Phil Carruthers. I watched the previous Charter Commission meeting. I was there, and when Carruthers was asked questions on the legality or on the law, he seemed to, and you were there filming it, I know,
yeah,
that he equivocated, or he would fudge his answers.
Absolutely.
He didn't have crisp, straightforward answers. It was always, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. And then, again, this meeting, I disagreed with him on saying that they couldn't vote, because very, very essence that, like you showed, that at the previous meeting they said they were going to vote,
right,
and discuss this. And it's unbelievable that you would think that they would schedule this meeting after it was said what it was about, and then have the somebody from the county attorney's office say, oh, well, you can't vote because it didn't specifically say you were going to vote, yet they turn around and vote to adjourn the meeting. Well, using the same logic, they couldn't take, well, that would be a procedural vote, but you couldn't do a procedural vote unless you told people you were going to vote to adjourn the meeting. I mean, you see,
absolutely. You hit on a big point. You weren't there yesterday, but that was one Bev Apikowski was making, not your argument, but arguing the other side, saying everybody's got to know that there's going to be a vote before there's a vote. And that's just a bunch of baloney. That's the purpose of the meeting, is to vote and to have discussion, or to vote or not vote. They could table things, but they can do whatever they want in that meeting. Now, common courtesy, and there may be rules, there are at the legislature, that there has to be notice. But if you got something on the table, a bill or a motion, that motion can be amended, it can be changed, it could end up totally different than what it originally started out, and if there's a vote, that sticks. And there was just nonsense down there regarding, they got to know the exact specific wording beforehand. Before you can even, well, you do have to know the specific wording before you can vote on it, absolutely, but you don't have to know it before you have the discussion, and it's impossible to.
That's correct. And that when you referenced Article 12, Section 2, maybe I'll just read, if it's okay, just the specific part that deals with this.
Make it quick. We got more video.
Okay. The legislature may enact special laws relating to a local government unit, but a special law, unless otherwise provided by general government units or by general law, shall become effective only after it's approved by the affected unit, expressed through a vote of the governing body and by such majority as the legislature may direct.
Right.
Any special law may be modified or suspended by a later homeroom charter or amendment applicable to the same local government unit. So, I mean, if you read the law, that, and there's a little more to it,
right,
specifically says that the homeroom rule, and people should pull out their Constitution and specifically see that, yes, like Andy Selleck says, that it is there, and that if this is taken away from the people, it very likely will end up in the courts. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, caller. Ramsey County Charter Commission has already, and the citizens have already made at least 23 statutes that the Charter Commission has overruled. That the state says, hey, county, you got to do this. The Charter Commission and the people have said, no, we don't have to do that. So that's part of the deal. Let's go to the next video here and watch. They're actually proposing the actual a discussion on what the amendment will be. It's a good discussion. Let's watch this.
Language as stated on the first 5 lines of the yellow handout.
Second. Would the motioner please just read into the record what those 5 lines entail, please?
There would be a proposed amendment to the Ramsey County Charter, Section 9.06, prohibition on taxing and bonding. Effective November 6, 2012, Ramsey County shall be prohibited from using any revenues, including those raised by taxes or bonding, to fund or assist in funding a Major League Baseball or National Football League sports team or stadium. This prohibition shall apply to both existing and future revenues.
There is a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion.
Point of information from the author of the motion. Do you, I assume that, do you plan on the normal process of Robert's Rules of Order that this can be amended at the special meeting, so that this is just going to be the subject matter that people can address specific language at the hearings, and it is the starting point for a special meeting, but it can be amended?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Halverson, the purpose of my motion is so that we have something that the public can react to for the public hearing, and it is my intention that when we get to the special meeting or a subsequent meeting, if we haven't made a vote at that special meeting, that we can amend this language.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm curious as to the implications for considering language in this context for a public hearing. I know in other public hearings, you are not allowed to substantively deviate from the initial language that's been put out to the public after the hearing has changed. If the changes, the amendments to that were to be of a certain magnitude, you could no longer do that without a subsequent public hearing. I don't think that's the case here, but...
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
The purpose of the public hearing is to get input so we can make a decision on what the language is supposed to be. So we could actually do a delete all and substitute at the end, because we find that that's what the public has testified to us, and we agree with what the public has testified. My purpose of the motion was to make sure that when we get to that special meeting, we have language in place that we can start discussing as to how we want to deal with it.
In a follow-up question or comment, which is, I think there are, I have a few questions about the motion, and I think this is okay, that Mr. Fratto and Mr. Halverson and Commissioner Halverson have put in front of us, but I do have questions, about specifics and potential alternatives. As a Charter Commission member, I want to make sure that we limit the impact of what we're doing to the issue at hand and not create unnecessary or unforeseen circumstances. So I'm curious, is there any way to put out sort of alternative language as well for consideration? I don't have that prepared tonight, and I don't know that that's necessarily a route that I'd take, but is there a way that we could systematically present questions to testifiers to further the interest in the public hearing? In a systematic way rather than an ad hoc way at the hearing itself.
Mr. Chair, I agree that the wording of this needs to be one or two different things. I was going to make offer an amendment striking the first 4 words effective November 6, 2012. Start with Ramsey County shall Ramsey County. So strike the first words up to 2012. Insert the word shall, and then drop the last sentence completely. So it would read, shall Ramsey County be prohibited from using any revenues, including those raised by taxes or bonding, to fund or assist in funding a Major League Baseball or National Football League sports team or stadium, period.
Mr. Chair.
It gives them an opportunity to give their input on that. And that would also allow the second statement to be added to this alternative question.
Peter. Mr. Chair, I'm opposed to the motion, but I'd like to point out a legal problem with the effective date. Section 11.402B of the Charter says that any amendment will take effect in 30 days after the election. The election is November 6, 2012, so we have a problem.
Mr. Chair. I concur with Commissioner Aplikowski's deletion of the effective date, November 6, 2012. However, moving the shall before Ramsey County makes the a charter language into a question when in fact this is would be the language that the charter would be amended to should we vote to place this language on the ballot and the voters pass it. I think I understand your question. Your point is that that's the question we want to ask the people at a hearing, but this would be the actual language.
Well, but that's why we're having a special meeting.
Right, to determine what that is.
Yes.
But and I agree. Maybe that's the way this thing should be, is the hearing is for shall Ramsey County be prohibited from using it, whereas...
And then this language could then be...
Right.
Voted on.
Deleting the issues related to the date.
Okay. Beverly made that as an amendment.
Second.
There's a second. Is there any further discussion?
I had a question for Mr. Crows. Are we violating open meeting laws by voting on this language?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think I think the intent of Member Prado's motion was to say that the purpose of the meeting is to solicit public testimony regarding the following proposed amendment, the Ramsey County Home Rule Chart. So I think it's really a discussion about the agenda for that meeting. So I'm okay with it. I think it fits within the discussion issue. I mean, obviously, if he was actually moving that language and we're going to take a vote on whether the chart...
We have more video, but we're out of time here. Did you hear why that last question, are we violating the open meeting laws by moving this language, by looking at, by voting on this language? I mean, that was a sarcastic question because obviously you can. Okay, that's what you're there for. And that Phil Carruthers couldn't say, no, you're not violating open meeting laws, is remarkable to me. So anyway, we're out of time. There's more video. There was a motion about getting it at a place where it could be filmed again, and that was defeated again. There's just an objection for them being on TV. All right, we're out of time. We'll cover more of this next week, get an update. There was also a hearing on judicial accountability. Anyway, remember, if you don't stand up for other people's liberties, who's going to stand up for yours? God bless. Have a great week.
Sorry. What would John and Glenn do? Come on, people, work with me.
We used to come here every day to be together, and then we went away here.